So this is number 6 on our worksheet on sentence types, and people were asking me to demonstrate how to actually do number 6 because it seemed challenging, and it is. It's a tough one, but I think it's a really important one to be able to do. So let's take a look at what we have here. So I can see at the very beginning I have this verb give. There's no subject in front of it, and so this tells me that I'm working with an imperative sentence. So I have give as a verb. Here's my thanks as some kind of direct object because I'm saying give what? My thanks. And then I have a prep phrase to your parents. Here's another prep phrase for there. And then it gets a little more complicated here. Yikes. I got allowing, which I know ends in ing. So it's a gerund. There's no helper with it. So it must be some kind of noun. But then me is also a noun. And then there's an infinitive, which I know all infinitives have to be nouns as well. Yikes. And then I end up with a prep phrase at the very end. So I'm actually happy to see you because I have this mess of 3 nouns in a row. I've never had 3 nouns in a row. I've had 2 nouns in a row before, like an indirect and a direct object, or 2 nouns in a row, like a pattern 10. But 3 is weird. So let's just take one step at a time. It's my mantra for life as well as for grammar. Just put one foot in front of the other, one bite at a time. You'll get the elephant eaten. All right, don't panic. It's okay. Here we go. Let's build this close to the top. I'm going to go straight across here, and I'm going to go ahead and be really sophisticated by putting an X here as my subject, and I'm going to go right into my verb, which is going to be the verb give. And then my direct object, straight line, is straight. That's the worst straight line ever. Seriously, Marsh. And then here's thanks. And then it's my thanks. All right, so all's well with the world because at least we got the basis of the sentence down. And next thing is it's to your parents. So you're like, is it thanks to your parents? No, I'm actually giving to your parents. So give it to your parents. So here's my to your parents underneath here. So I'm giving it to your parents. And then your parents. All right, seriously, so far so good. Nothing really challenging until we get to this last part. Then it gets a little bit rough. All right, so just take small steps with this bad boy. I'm going to change it over to, let's see, I think blue is a very calming color, so let's go with blue. All right, so here's our preposition for. So start there. It's a prep phrase. That's what it has to be. It has the word for. It's got to be a prepositional phrase. I just got to figure out where it's going to go. So am I giving it for their stay, allowing me to stay the night, or is it thanks? Well, it sounds like it's more thanks. Thanks for their allowing me to stay the night. So I'm going to come off of that word thanks, come down with the word for, and then I got to come across the nouns. I'm just going to figure out what world noun am I coming across with. I'm just going to pause here for a second. Arg. I'm thanking them for what? For this whole thing, allowing me to stay the night. So this is my object of preposition. Look at it collectively and say, okay, this is what's actually the object of preposition. I'm thanking you for this. So I see I have a gerund in here, but I also have an infinitive. So this is all reason I'm just going to safely put it up on a tree because let's get it up here on this tree and figure out what we're going to do. So when I get up here, I can see I have a gerund. So let's anchor to that gerund first. And so I'm like, okay, here's the word allowing. So I'm going to let it cascade over my line. And I'm allowing direct object what? What did you allow? Well, I didn't allow me because I couldn't. If I made me the direct object, what am I going to do with to stay? So what they allowed is they allowed stay. They allowed to stay. And you're like, well, then what are you going to do with the word me? Well, you're going to do what me is the same thing as the word there. All right, we talked about this last week, so let's just simply change the color over to yellow to kind of highlight it a little bit more. Remember, the word there is a possessive pronoun next to a gerund. That's all the makings of being a subject of a gerund. Remember, it's not them allowing me, but they're allowing me to stay the night. And so I'm going to put this word there right here as the subject of the gerund. Let's pause and after we write this and talk about why we're doing that. All right, remember we talked about how the subject of the sentence is the king or the queen. It's a really bad crown, but there you go. And so the word basically is you. You is the subject of the sentence. And so you are the one who gives thanks. Yes, are you the one who allowed me to stay the night? No, your parents allowed me to stay the night. So that's why we added the word there. Remember, they, meaning your parents, are the ones who allowed me to stay the night. So this is the subject of the gerund. It's perfect. Don't like this yellow for some reason. Now, what do I do with the word me? Well, think about it logically. The subject has to work with every verb. So me, or you rather, so me, you actually gave me or giving thanks. Good. You didn't allow me to stay the night, so therefore we added its own subject. So now go back to the subject again. It's you. Did you? Other verb sitting right here. Did you stay the night? No, you live there. It's me. I'm the one who stayed the night. So therefore, this is the subject of this infinitive. Oh, remember that from earlier this week on Tuesday? The word me is sitting right here. Really, it's almost like saying the word for me. Give my thanks to your parents for their allowing for me to stay the night. I just didn't decided not to use the word for to get into this, but that's what's happening. This is the subject of the infinitive. And then you're staying for night. Let's add that in here, for night. The night. This is a great sentence, everybody. Let's talk about why it's such an amazing sentence. First off, it's a pattern 7. So I'm going to call this a pattern 7 because I have a subject, I have an action verb, I have a direct object. All right, this is just a prep phrase. It looks like it's an indirect object, but it literally has the word to in there. It's just simply a prep phrase. So this is a nice little pattern 7. Then what it's also showing that you know how to do is you know how to take on the subject of a gerund. You added the word there, not them. So here's our subject of a gerund, if I write it correctly. Subject of a gerund. And it also includes right here the subject of an infinitive. That's also really critical. All right, so once again, the reason I knew that was going to work, I'm going to change my color because it's starting to look like a hot mess in here. Oh, let's go purple. Remember, our subject is you. It's our little crown. And you are the one who gives thanks. You didn't allow me to stay the night. Your parents did. That's why I'm giving them thanks. So that's why I'm saying not them, but they own the act of allowing. It was their allowance. And then lastly is the verb to stay. It doesn't work with the subject you, but me. I'm the one who stayed the night. And so we'd say me to stay the night. And that's how it works. This becomes the subject of the infinitive, to stay. Oh, it's so good. Such a great sentence. All right. Just because, once again, some people were asking for it. So there you go. That's an explanation of how I got there. I'm not even sure what in the world